So it has been a month since the MLB lockout, freezing trades, free agency, and moves all around the league. But before the lockout occurred, there was one player garnering tons of interest from many teams around the league, and that was Japanese phenom Seiya Suzuki. In fact, some scouts have suggested he may be one of the best players to come to the big leagues from Japan, creating a ton of interest from multiple teams. So in this video, I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about Seiya Suzuki and who I believe he will end up signing with after the lockout. I'm Tony Metro. I make videos all about Major League Baseball. This is your place for the latest news, rumors, and predictions. If you haven't already subscribed, be sure to do so and turn channel notifications on so you know when I post a new video, like the one I posted yesterday. 5 things the New York Mets should do to make themselves World Series favorites in 2022. So let's get into Seiya Suzuki and why every MLB team should be looking to sign him in 2022. Suzuki is just 27 years old and spent the first 9 seasons of his professional career with the Hiroshima Carp in Japan. To be clear, that means Suzuki debuted when he was 18 years old. And during that time, hit for a slash line of a .309 average, .402 on base percentage, .541 slugging, and a .943 OPS. Suzuki also clubbed 189 homers during that time and stole 102 bases. But his 2021 season was eye-popping. In 134 games, he slashed .317, .433, .636 with 26 doubles, 38 home runs, and a 1,069 OPS. Defensively, Suzuki has spent time playing in the infield at all 4 positions, but hasn't done that since 2014. Since then, Suzuki has played all 3 of the outfield positions, but MLB scouts believe he likely is to land in one of the corner outfield spots rather than center field. Suzuki is a tremendous talent, even getting comparisons to Ronald Acuna Jr. Now, let's discuss Major League Baseball's posting rules and how Suzuki will come to the major leagues. Major League Baseball has a 30-day window for players coming from international leagues, meaning that teams have those 30 days to sign the player to a contract. Suzuki was posted on November 22nd of 2021. But just 10 days later, the MLB lockout occurred and Suzuki's window was frozen. What that means is that when the MLB lockout does finally end, teams will have 20 days to sign Suzuki to a contract. Despite the talent that Suzuki is, because of MLB posting restrictions, Suzuki is projected to only get 4 to 5 years at $10 million average annual value. On top of that, teams won't have to give up any draft pick compensation like they would for a free agent on the MLB market. And that is an absolute steal for a player of Suzuki's caliber. And it's for those reasons that every MLB team should be looking to sign Seiya Suzuki. So let's go around the league and I'll break down a few teams that have rumored to have been interested in Suzuki and might make the most sense. It's been reported by John Heyman that the Texas Rangers have shown interest in Suzuki already. The Rangers, known for scouting talent from the Pacific Rim, already went on a spending spree this offseason, throwing $500 million at Corey Seager and Marcus Semien. And while those 2 players are great, it kind of came as a surprise to me. The Rangers lost 102 games last year, and I'm not going to beat them up from signing Corey Seager and Marcus Semien because they will make them a better team. But I don't think it was wise to completely break the bank on those 2 guys when they're still a number of years away from competing. Last year, the Rangers had one of the worst pitching staffs in baseball, and in my opinion, they'd be wise to spend their money elsewhere as opposed to on a luxury like Suzuki. Then you have the Boston Red Sox, who, according to reports, had conversations with Suzuki before the lockout. In fact, one report indicated that Red Sox GM Chaim Bloom and their front office were so convinced that they would land Suzuki that was a big reason they traded Hunter Renfroe to the Milwaukee Brewers earlier this offseason. But the Red Sox already have a pretty strong outfield. After reacquiring Jackie Bradley Jr. in the Hunter Renfroe trade, they also have Alex Verdugo and Kike Hernandez. The Red Sox have other holes they need to fill, including in their starting rotation, but adding a guy like Suzuki would definitely bring some buzz to Beantown. And then you have the other perennial spenders who are always linked to these big international names: the New York Mets, the New York Yankees, and the Philadelphia Phillies. With the richest owner in baseball, the New York Mets are always going to be linked to these big name players. They already displayed that this offseason after signing Max Scherzer, Starling Marte, and still being linked to Chris Bryant this offseason. But with question marks surrounding the health of their rotation, I think they have other areas of need, and Suzuki would be more of a luxury than a necessity for the New York Mets. The Phillies could definitely use some help in the outfield, but more specifically in center field. Over the last 2 years, the Phillies have been one of the worst teams at getting productivity out of center field. And while Suzuki has spent time in center field in Japan, MLB scouts don't expect him to land there, but rather a corner outfield position. And lastly, the New York Yankees, who are coming off one of the most disappointing regular seasons in recent memory. Yankees fans really want some big moves, and they want them now. Suzuki would be a great start to adding some buzz to the team. But in my opinion, the Yankees need to focus on their starting rotation and shortstop. Gleyber Torres displayed last year he can't handle the shortstop position, and that has Yankee fans clamoring for them to go out and get once hated rival Carlos Correa. As for the rotation, after Garrett Cole, there wasn't a whole lot of support behind him. After recovering from Tommy John surgery and making a few starts last year, the Yankees hope that Luis Severino can come back strong in 2022. But they'll need more than that, and I think the Yankees would be better off spending on a more sure thing for their rotation and at shortstop than on Suzuki. So for those reasons, if I was a betting man, I would double down on the Seattle Mariners signing Seiya Suzuki in 2022. The Seattle Mariners are another team looking for some outfield help and were linked to Suzuki earlier in the offseason. The Mariners fell just one game short of ending their 21-year playoff drought last season, but after signing AL Cy Young winner Robbie Ray, they're ready to go all in 2022. The M's already have promising outfielders Jared Kelenic and Julio Rodriguez, but adding a guy like Suzuki is an absolute no-brainer for them. And I think it's a no-brainer for Suzuki as well. He'd have a comfortable transition to the big leagues going to Seattle with a large Japanese demographic and culture. And of course, the Mariners have history with bringing Japanese players to their club. Ichiro Suzuki, of course, the greatest Japanese player in Major League Baseball history, spent most of his career in Seattle. So until the MLB lockout ends, we won't know where Suzuki will sign, but there's no doubt he has a ton of talent and a ton of suitors. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below. Who do you think Seiya Suzuki will sign with in 2022? What MLB team do you think makes the most sense for Suzuki to sign with? And guys, stay tuned for my upcoming video where I will predict where some of the top remaining free agents will sign in 2022.